Hi, it's Jesper here. What if there was a framework that could take any idea or statement and transform it using magic? Would you want to know? If yes, then you have come to the right place. In 1963, McKinsey hired its first female consultant. Her mission was to standardize on consultant presentations between officers around the world and consolidate a wide variety of formats into a coherent style, format, and tone. Her name was Barbara Minto, and she created a powerful and influential management consulting framework, which has since been copied by all reputable consulting companies. And today, it forms part of the core craft consulting skill courses new consultants, as well as senior hires, go through to learn the consulting mindset. She called it the pyramid principle, yet the ideas behind the framework were not original, as she went back to ancient times for inspiration. No, not Egypt, as might be suspected. The pyramid refers to something else. She went back to ancient Greece and drew her inspiration from Aristotle and his groundbreaking work on logic, especially inductive and deductive reasoning. Barbara argued that attention spans are notoriously short. If you don't make your point in the first 10 seconds, you have already lost your audience. That comment was made in the 1960s and holds even more true today. She also argued that one cannot derive an idea from a grouping unless the ideas in the grouping are logically the same and in logical order. This is a critical premise behind the pyramid principle. So I'll say that again. She argued that one cannot derive an idea from a grouping unless the ideas in the grouping are logically the same and in logical order. The pyramid principle's use is not limited to consultants. It is useful to anyone. And it's not limited to presentations. It can be applied to any communication, written or spoken, including emails. It consists of two parts or frameworks that work together. The first framework, which is called SCQA, creates a hypothesis. A hypothesis is a fancy word to explain what has happened or may happen under certain conditions. It is often written as if-then statement. For example, if this happens, then this will happen. The SCQA framework is easy to learn and use, and it has the advantage of being able to be used on its own without the second framework. The second framework is called MESSE, and it structures an argument to prove the hypothesis. The MESSE framework is also easy to understand, but uses inductive and deductive reasoning, which requires some practice to use it effectively. Barbara Minto called it the pyramid principle because developing the hypothesis, an argument follows a pyramid-like structure. It starts with the end in mind, the hypothesis, and then layers the arguments or proofs to support the hypothesis. The proofs are based on data. Let's unpack the SCQA framework. It is an acronym which stands for situation, complication, question, and answer. In this video, we will focus on the SCQA framework. The MESSE framework will be covered in the next video. Using real examples often work best, and this is how I used the SCQA framework recently to pitch the idea of redeveloping a CRM for a large enterprise. The CRM in this organization was implemented more than 10 years ago, and over this time mutated into a beast through workarounds and band-aids to the point of becoming a barrier to future growth. Let's start with the situation. Situation is the frame and sets the context, and it must be something the audience agrees with. If the situation causes disagreement, everything else fails. This is how I framed the situation for the CRM redevelopment. It is somewhat simplified, but what's important is the understanding of how to apply the framework. This was the situation. A good CRM is essential to support future growth targets. Now, it's hard to imagine that someone would disagree with that statement. Next, we introduce the complication, which frames the problem, such as what has changed or what is the impact of the change. This is how I framed the complication. Extensive customization and band-aid solutions over several years has created a CRM that creates serious data quality issues and manual workarounds, which negatively impact on growth, customer, and employee experience. The complication is sometimes also called the problem statement. The question sets up or frames the answer or hypothesis. The question is optional, and depending on the situation, I sometimes skip it, such as if I'm writing an email. But if I'm pitching something more complex or important, I include it because it provides a bridge between the complication and the hypothesis. It leads into the hypothesis. In this case, this is how I framed the question. Can we continue to customize our current CRM, or do we need to redevelop it to meet future growth targets, customer, and employee expectations? As you can see, it suggests the answer by opening the door for a somewhat radical solution: redevelop the CRM rather than enhancing it. It is used to preempt objections to the hypothesis. The answer, or the hypothesis, is a proposed solution to the complication. This is how I frame the answer or hypothesis. If we want to support our medium and long-term goals and aspirations, then we need to redevelop and build an automated and data-driven CRM. That is a SCQA framework in a nutshell, which is then supported or proven using the MESSE framework. MESSE stands for mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive, and is a structured approach of using inductive and deductive reasoning, and can also be likened to using vertical or horizontal flow of logic. The magic itself lies in the MESSE framework and the clarity it brings to an argument, and this is the topic of my next video. And while you're waiting for my next video, put the SCQA principles and framework into practice. Use it in your emails. Use it when you present an idea to your boss. Use it with your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, or friend to get an idea over the line. Practice, practice, practice. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you for watching.